If you're anything like me, like learning anatomy through sports injuries, this episode 57. I bet you didn't know they brought snowmobiles back to the X Games. Marcus Olson and Brandon Cormier. This is a 2-for-1 special. This was yesterday, okay? So Marcus here is first, and he's going to try. This is called the kiss of death, and it makes sense. That's a hard fall, and he's down, and the medical staff is going to run out and check on him. So let's check it out and see exactly what happened. So when he is going into this backflip, this is like a Superman from the old ATV MX Unleashed games, you know. And then he under rotates, and the snowmobile actually turns to the side a little bit. So that causes him to get thrown into the ground. It might be snow, but it's still hard, okay? And it still is going to hurt. So that is Marcus. And then here's Brandon. And Brandon is going to try a 360 flip off the seat. And you kind of see he had to jump off of the snowmobile and kind of cannonballed with his back first. Let's take another look at it. So he's going to try this 360 flip, and he flips too far to the side. So his feet meet the back of the snowmobile. He's going to jump, and he's going to curl up into a ball. Now, I think this is the best idea in this situation, considering he's falling from a large height. Again, the snow is harder than it might look. He's down and not moving. That's not good for either of these guys. All right, so let's talk about what happened to each of them. Now, Marcus tried the kiss of death. We talked about that. All that was reported was that he was evaluated for a back injury, and then he posted later on and said some broken parts. So I'm going to guess ribs here. I'll show you a picture, and he might also have like a wrist involvement, but I'm going to guess ribs simply because when he got thrown down, he landed on kind of the side of his torso. So that's kind of like a mechanism of injury for ribs most of the time. And it's important to note that your ribs are very close to your lungs. So any kind of displaced fracture, you have a risk of puncturing a lung. So that's not good if you're Marcus Olson. So for Brandon, kind of the worst of the two, I think. The 360 spin, right? He was evaluated for a neck injury, and the fear was of hyperextension injury. So when he balled up into a ball and he's going down to the ground, when he lands, he's going to quickly extend, okay? And so what can happen there is central cord injury, and that leads to loss of upper extremity motor function more than lower extremity, as well as pain, temperature, light touch sensation loss. That's the central cord. We've kind of talked about these spinal cord injuries before, but this injury kind of catches all of the spinal tracts here. One of the worst injuries, but it's still an incomplete injury. So there is some motor function spared. There is some sensory function spared. But again, hyperflexion is not good if you're anyone at all. So what happened to these guys? Well, not a ton has come out yet just because it was yesterday. But they were transported to the hospital, likely had x-rays, CTs, MRIs, and they stayed overnight for monitoring. Both provided positive updates on Instagram, and you can kind of see that all good, just very sore. Marcus might have like his hand's kind of red. I'm not sure if that's from like an injury or anything, but nonetheless, they're both doing just fine. So that's snowboarders.